Welcome to Horror Italiano, where we take you on a tour through Italian horror cinema. I am Joe the psychologist, and this is your other host, Ricky. Ricky, how you doing tonight?
What up, Joe the psychologist? I'm doing good. I'm excited. We are going to talk about a childhood favorite of mine. It's been a minute, bro. It's been a minute since I seen this film, and let me tell you, bro, it's still good. It's still fucking good. I love this movie. I'm gonna say it right now. I got a soft spot for Fulci. And yeah, man, this is the one that started it for me, bro. I saw this before Zombie, I think. Yeah, absolutely I did, yeah.
All right, well, this is a first watch for me, so it is definitely going to be fun for us to discuss it. So here we are, City of the Living Dead. Living Dead? Aren't those zombies? In this episode, we'll be discussing City of the Living Dead, released in 1980, also known as The Gates of Hell. Yeah, I knew that I was in for something special, and here's why. I was raised Catholic, and the movie starts with something I don't recall seeing in a horror movie at all, to be honest with you. If somebody else did see it, let me know. But that's a priest committing suicide. And I was like, wow, if you're going to have the balls to make a priest commit suicide, who then later on, because in the Catholic religion, when you commit suicide, you go into purgatory. But what Fulci did, he did, if a priest committed suicide, the gates of hell open. I said, damn, this is fucked up, first of all, as Catholic. And I was like, if we're going to do this, I kind of think we're in for something here. You know, and I think because I know you were also raised religious. I mean, didn't that freak you out a little bit?
Yeah, I'm Catholic. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, seeing a priest doing that, like, and you saw this when you were young too?
Yeah, let me tell you, man. I saw it when I was young, but I was fucking petrified of this film. This was one of those movies where mind you, when I say I saw it young, and like I sat there and watched the whole thing, my brother would show me the movie, and when they got to certain parts, that was it. I was done. And those images, which we'll get to later, it just got buried in my fucking brain for years, and I was always afraid of this movie. So when I would hear the gates of hell, I would think this is a demonic film. This was made by the devil. That's how I was. That's how I grew up thinking. Remember, like you mentioned, I grew up in a Catholic household as well. So I was always afraid of this fucking film, that this movie was made by the devil, bro. And of course, when I got old and I watched it on my own, I'm like, God, this fucking movie's great. And I haven't seen it in a while. Saw it again for this. I saw it twice. And damn, it ages like a fine wine, flaws and all, man. I fucking love this fucking movie.
And it was, like I said, it's a sacrilegious thing, like you said, and then turning it into a momentous thing that can happen, which is basically hell on earth is going to be coming, all because a priest does this. So when Father Thomas, after he commits suicide, the poor town of Dunwich starts to experience some really fucked up shit. And I have got to, you know what? I'm going to take a quick sip, because this turned a little bit brains and bruise, because, we did say zombie, but the old school special effects in this movie, fucking, oh my God. Ooh, salud para eso.
Salud, listen, man. If you talking practical effects, there we go. By the way, we talking practical effects. Yes, those were real maggots.
Oh God, yeah. Well, I'll mention so if. Actually, since this, you said this brings up like childhood memories, and it sounds like a kind of a movies that fucked me up kind of movie for you. I mean, there was a whole lot that happened once Father Thomas, got resurrected. So I'm curious to see, you know what, because you have a childhood trauma from it. I have just mine as an adult. Let's talk about this crazy shit. I
think is 1980?
1980.
So I was born in 79. So I saw this. I mean, I'm not saying I saw this when I was 2 and I could remember, no, I was probably, like, 8, 9 years old, give or take, but still, like, seeing this then, I always saw films then, like, the mainstream stuff. This is when my brother exposed me to all of this, like, this foreign fucking horror, and I don't mean foreign like, like international, I just mean horror that's not on TV. So you
Yeah.
would have to go to a we went to this place called Channel One Video. This was before Blockbuster. This is when you would go into a video rental store and you go to the
VHS
horror
people.
section. Yes, yes. You go to the horror section of VHS, you see all those covers, man. I still remember the cover to this vividly. And we would rent it, bring it home. And the same way I discovered Dawn of the Dead. We rented it and I saw a few scenes and I was like, nope. You know what I mean? So yeah, this again, the way the movie opens with a suicide and we go from there. I mean, the first thing you hear in this movie is the Mary screaming. We hear this scream, and that introduces you to this world we are about to embark on, where the gates of hell are opened, and that invites the dead to come roam our land. So there's a lot to talk about, man. So yeah, I can't wait to jump into this.
I mean, for me, like, I'm not gonna say when I think I don't know for you, the scene where the boyfriend and girlfriend were in the car, and then Father Thomas like walks up to him and he just stares her in the eyes, and she starts to bleed out, and then
Remember when I
my
told
mouth
you
actually just fucking watered
when
because
I would remember as a kid, certain scenes that fucked me up.
that was it.
This is it. This is
I
it.
listen.
This is it.
She
I thought it
fucking
was real, bro. I'm
she
like,
barfed
how
out. I think her uterus came out. I
I
swear to
every
God.
her internal organs
Every
and the very last thing that I think it was her stomach that popped out last. I
Are
hear
you
this,
sure? I think that might have
and you
been the
just hear that
uterus.
this. Oh my god, bro, it's fucking gross. And obviously as I'm older, I research and apparently they use tripe. She actually she swallowed
Oh, yeah.
actual food and started regurgitating.
Ooh.
Minus the close-ups, you could tell it's a dummy with the shit just flowing consistently. But the actress really had to swallow some tripe and just fucking start regurgitating that shit on camera.
Oof.
Oh, disgusting.
And I like tripe.
You like tripe? God
Oh,
damn, you're a
yeah. Oh,
weird
yeah.
motherfucker, bro. You would eat
What do you
anything,
mean?
bro. Yeah, no,
That's that Eli shit, man.
bro, no. You know what
Oh,
tripe is?
it's a delicacy. Yes, I know what it
Listen,
is.
bro.
If
No,
it listen, it's a if it is done right, I promise you would change your mind. I've even had cow cod. I'm not gonna say what it
this
is.
guy ate cow cock. Jesus
Right?
Christ. Listen,
Cow
listen.
cod,
When
cod,
we
COD.
eat morcillas, right? That's a Spanish delicacy. And when I found out what that's made out of, I'll be honest.
Blood,
I was still like, I don't give a fuck. I love it. I'm still
blood.
gonna
Want
eat
some
it.
right, dude, don't knock it.
Well,
Don't
I'm not gonna
listen,
eat no
try
stomach lining and shit like
oh,
that,
it's
bro.
so good.
Nah, I'm all
It's
set.
so
I ain't
good.
eat no cock and balls either. But listen, what I will say is that scene is a fucking classic. It's
Yeah, I
so
gotta
good. The stoic look of the priest as he gazes into her eyes and she starts bleeding out of her eye sockets, and then she starts foaming at the mouth, and then just the sound design. I had it with headphones on, so I heard every fucking like gurgle. And
Ugh.
interesting too, the actor next to her, that character was played by the same actor who was in Demons. Remember the dude that had the actual the metal mask on, handing out the flyers and shit?
That was
And
him?
Demons, and he was also plays one of the actors within the movie when they're in the theater watching the actual Demons film. He's one of the actors in there. He went on to become an Italian director himself. So you
Yeah.
see him in a lot of like especially the Bava films, but on Roberto. But here he shows up as this character, like, hey, because now that I'm old, I recognize, hey, it's this guy. And that scene was a classic, bro. Again,
Ugh.
I want to say this. This is a Lucio Fulci film. You got to go into this knowing what to expect. Lucio Fulci to me, he is such a unique director because he has a style where I don't know if it has to be done by design or not, but these movies are like nightmares. They're like
Mhm.
it's like in a dream world. A lot of nonsensical shit happens. We talked about this in the Beyond episode we
Yeah.
did for Brains and Brews. Oh, no, Horror Italiano, I'm sorry. We talked about it there where shit just didn't make any sense. It was like a nightmare. And watching this one cemented that because stuff happened here which was nonsensical. I'm sure we'll get into some of those points later, but when you go into these movies with that in mind, like anything could happen. You know, when you have a nightmare, you could piece things, but like it don't make any sense. That's what these movies feel like. And I appreciate that. I respect that. And even like Lucio Fulci, he's got this weird sloppy style with the editing where music just abruptly cuts out during edits. And you could just tell is I don't know if it's done by design or not, but he did it with Zombie, he did it with this, The Beyond. Yeah, it's such a unique style, and it's a director trait. And by the way, talking about the director in this film, Lucio Fulci had a cameo as the medical examiner. He was the pathologist who was like examining Emily's body, saying, "Oh, she died of
Oh,
fright." And
damn, I didn't
that's
know that.
Lucio Fulci. He's in it. That's his little cameo here, but I'm glad you brought up that scene because that scene traumatized me, bro. I could never get those visuals out of my brain growing up, and I never wanted to see this again because of that. So,
Well, and
job well done.
I was gonna speak on that, but then when you had said you saw this as a kid, I'm like, you know what? I want to hear how somebody who saw this the
I saw this
same
as
age
a
I would have
child,
seen
bro.
this in my
Yeah,
movies that fucked me up.
yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying. This is like one of your movies that
My
fucked you
my
up.
brother would be like, "Rick, watch this," and all of a sudden, I'm like, "Ah, what is this? What is wow?"
Well, and it's funny because when you mentioned the maggots, because that was another scene
Yeah.
when the snowfall of maggots happened. Now, not all of it. I mean, you can see some of it looked like popcorn.
No,
Either
bro,
like
this I mean,
that's
I don't know about
all
that,
little.
but
You know, if you
they
look, because I was trying to pay attention
they
because
took a
the
lot of
insurmountable
maggots.
amount of maggots. And thank you for letting me finish again out that word too. But it was an insurmountable amount of maggots. I have never seen so many and
I hate
already knew that there was
maggots.
going to be a
Oof.
problem with maggots because you were seeing it on, the dead body.
Yeah,
He
it
shoved
conveys
maggots
death,
into
yeah.
the one character's
Mhm.
mouth. The zombies as they kept falling apart. You didn't know if it was also because the maggots themselves are eating away, but those
Fulci's, bro,
maggots.
that's a Fulci trait when it comes to zombies. Look at the film
Because I do
Zombie.
remember zombie. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember
look at the
the
maggots
maggots.
coming out of the first the famous zombie that pops up out of the dirt, and you got the one maggot out of, kind of squirming in the eye hole in the eye socket. It's fucking gross. That's Fulci for you. And you can tell this is a Fulci film by the extreme close-ups, man. Jesus, Jesus Christ. How many pushes were in this movie? And he's got this infatuation with eyes. How many like you would see characters just their eyes looking at each other and it will pan from
Just
one to the next. It's I love the camera work in this movie because of that. It's the camera work isn't to me. I always say in certain movies, and Fulci is notorious for this. It's another character in this movie. The camera is a character in itself because the way it flows and tells the story. It's great. I love it. Like when one scene starts here, like let's say it's a view of of the street, then it slowly starts panning over to the window. Then it starts pushing into the window, and they got this great fucking soundtrack playing, man. So it's always all that technical flair combines to make such a like a pleasurable viewing experience for me, as an individual.
Well, and the other scene I do want to discuss though before like we
No,
move
keep
on
tell me.
to
We'll
this
keep. Yeah,
this
I could
this
keep going,
crazy
bro.
ending is when we are seeing Peter is trying to investigate the story and he shows up
The
where
great Christopher George, by the way.
George,
Yeah.
when he shows up at Mary's grave and she's pounding away, which I another like
I'm claustrophobic, brother.
I don't like. Yeah, I'm a bit claustrophobic, but I'm like
Cluster. He
in
said
a
it again. Clusterphobic. You did this during the descent. Clusterphobic.
I know claustrophobic. I like again. I
I
have my way
always
of
gotta
pronouncing
call you
words.
up, brother. You know that's all love.
Claustrophobic. Claustrophobic. Um, waking. I would. I don't know. Like Kill Bill kills me watching the
Oh
scene in there.
yeah, good
It
shout. Good shout.
that's honestly one of the strongest parts of that movie is her trying to get out of there because I'm like sitting there going, how the fuck are you gonna get out of here? I'm digressing, but when Peter starts putting the pick through, and she's like, ah, it comes like the first one gets closed, And then she screams. And then the second one, like I would have gone, hey, hey, you're almost hitting my face. Like can you go to the side, like to the left, to the right, to the right.
She
But
wasn't saying anything,
she
bro.
didn't say shit. She just laid there and let these, but it added for this is again 1980 we're talking about. So in the 80s, directors had only certain ways of scaring us compared to what we're now used to with the fucked up shit
1980,
that we
so this
watch.
is still technically, in my opinion, a 70s film. It was
Yeah,
written
I
and
mean it was
filmed in the
80.
70s. And it was still, to me, the 80s don't truly start until like 84, 85. That's not just for the 80s. We talked about this.
Yeah, it's because
Every
things
turn
start taping.
of new decade, you know.
Yeah. But I thought like it like I'm sitting here going, is this supposed to be a little comical? Because I don't find it comical
No.
because the guy's about to impale her, but you can't speak up for yourself to say, bro, two times you almost got my head. Like go to off to the like actually go for the latch. Like stop going for my
What? Yeah,
face.
what provoked my man to get that fucking pick? And the first thing he does is he rams it right into the area where her head would be. Why don't
It-
you could break it to where her feet are and still get her
yeah,
out? You know
I
what
mean,
the fuck is this guy doing?
and that's
Obviously,
what
that's done by the director to add tension. Like,
well,
oh,
and that's what I'm saying to add tension, but it adds to the some of the ridiculousness
oh yeah,
that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that the movie has, which I just
You know what
like
else
so.
that didn't make sense to me? And oh my god, it's such. And I saw it. This should again. This is when I was younger. I always this part I laughed at though. The scene when the character of Bob, he's certain. This is a character that everyone thinks he's the cause of everything because got mental health issues and
He's a
he's a
derelict.
little weird. He's had a checkered past, right? This character ends up and he sleeps in a car. He breaks into the garage and sleeps into a car. And this is a car that's owned by another character. He's an adult, obviously, a father, and his daughter Anne has a history with this Bob character. That's not good, but it's weird because the way they framed it earlier in the film, like, oh, he took her and oh my god, like they found it just in time before he did any, before he fucked her up or whatever. But then she sees him, hey Bob. She's like, you gotta get out of here, but first you wanna smoke this joint with me? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yes, fuck yeah, this chick is cool, man. And all of a sudden, like, but you gotta get out, you gotta scram quick because before my dad gets home. And as soon as he said that, motherfucker, he comes right in. Ah! I said, oh my god, run! This dude was so fucking mad. He grabs this poor guy, bro, and shoves him through the fucking drill. And what made that so great to me is the way it was filmed, that it dragged. Like
it,
this
but
drill, they kept
for
going from the guy's face to the drill close up. So you're
Bob
thinking, all
never
right,
fought back.
no, exactly. And you think, all right, someone's gonna come in, intervene. Could it take it a long time? But no,
No,
the drill fits.
Bob just let this old man like
Yo, and
slowly move his
the look
head.
on the father's face, it was like, like really fucking mad. Like this, we just saw
Well,
this guy getting drunk, right?
but
Earlier
remember
on in
the
the
time.
film. Hold on, we saw this guy getting drunk earlier on in the film. And also, he gets scared when when the glass breaks and the crack in the wall. Oh, I gotta go, I gotta go. But you see him here completely. I'm like, is he being like, is he affected by whatever's causing this, mayhem? But and then you never saw him again, and you never mentioned Bob's death. You never saw this character again.
Well,
It was just a random fucking act of violence in this movie for no fucking reason, bro. I fucking loved it. I
he was
laughed my
actually
ass off.
he's actually Ross is one of the guys in the bar who later on meets his demise in the bar.
He never
The
went back.
dad,
We never saw him again.
are you
That
sure?
dad? Yes, trust me. Because
All
when I saw
right,
it again, I looked for him on purpose. So wait a
all
minute.
right.
Hold on, let me check. Let me make sure he never came back. No, he wasn't there. It was the owner of the bar and the first guy, the guy that was complaining about he's gonna sell his shit and get the fuck out of Dodge. and some other guy, the
Oh,
guy that
see,
was like,
because yeah, I thought that the
no,
dad
he
ended
never
up
showed
back
up
at the
again.
bar.
So he just
Oh.
murdered some poor innocent guy for no reason,
Well,
bro.
no, but remember that they thought because the
Oh, they
reason the
thought he was
town
the murderer,
thought,
but
well, that they thought he had done something to a
what happened to
kid.
innocent until proven guilty? And
Right. Well, I mean, this
he
poor
turned into
kid.
he turned into Frank
I
Castle, bro.
I just couldn't believe he didn't fight him off. I'm like, dude,
No,
throw a punch, like
nothing.
something.
Yeah,
Reach. He
yeah.
just kept going. And then by the time it like the last one, the drill's like right here. So he looks at the guy, and then he gets it, and I'm like, dude,
And then, but yeah, all right, if you're gonna, all right, beat the fuck out of the dude and handed him over to the cops.
s-
He drilled he drilled a hole through this guy's fucking
well, no,
cranium, bro.
I think it's
Through
a
his
I think
fucking
it's a drill lathe or
yeah,
drill
yeah.
something like that. I forget. Yeah, it's like they're huge.
It's for yeah, it's for carpentry. So
Mary, Peter, and Jerry are trying to stop all this. And in case you haven't watched the movie, we're spoiling stuff for you, and our band of heroes ended up finding out that they needed to stop Father Thomas before All Saints Day. And, we end up getting to All Saints Days. And I'm wondering, first of all, why haven't Mary, Peter, and Jerry gotten the police, gotten more help? No,
the
they wanted
police
to
was
take
there. Then
they were there, but they didn't
yeah,
tell any of them, hey, this is what's going
maybe
on.
because they wouldn't believe him. Probably that's how I took it. By the
They
way,
started seeing
you
some of the
mentioned
stuff that was going on.
real quick, not to cut you off, but you mentioned All Saints Day. All Saints Day is November 1st, right?
Mhm.
So you're trying to tell me this movie took place on Halloween?
Mhm.
But there was never no
No Halloween,
decorations, no
there's no
talk of
trick-or-treaters.
Halloween, no trick or
Eh,
treating, no nothing. What the
well,
fuck
maybe
is going
Italian is different.
on? It's not. This took place in the U.S. though. This was like Massachusetts or
Oh,
something.
you're right. Well, yes,
Yeah,
yeah, you're right on
it's an
that.
Italian film, but it takes place in
He
America.
must not have thought about all that.
So that's
Um,
interesting.
but I love that when, finally the day hits that the zombies all show up to the bar first, all these complainers. But what I thought was kind of really weird was that I couldn't tell if the zombies were teleporting. Like they kept like, you heard them
It's an editing
outside
choice. Yeah.
and then they would show in and then they would disappear and then they would show in
I
again.
think it was trying to convey that they were in between two worlds, you know?
Is
I
it
don't know. Because there's
okay?
a scene
It
prior to that with Jerry when he grabs John and when John is in the alley and he sees Emily. By the way, right after the magazine, when Jerry got the phone call from John, the little kid, Emily's brother, and he hangs up and he tells Peter, Mary, and Sandra what the phone call was about. And he's like, that was John, Emily's little brother. He just told me Emily killed his parents. Emily died 2 days ago. That was creepy. Just the line of dialogue and the way it was
yeah.
delivered. If you think about the context of it, it's fucking crazy. But yeah, but anyway, when Jerry's in the alley, he tells John, go to the police car, and he sees Emily there. He sees her. He shuts his eyes and he reopens them, and she's gone.
Go on.
So I'm like, oh, okay. Well, what's that supposed to mean? Like,
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know.
But when Bob saw the priest, Father Thomas, he saw the visual of him hanging. Then he disappears, but the noose is still there, and then the noose disappears. So
But
boom, boom, boom.
he'd been seeing visions. That's different.
Yeah, he was.
Like the
Oh,
way
he's on.
he's probably listen, he was probably the town druggie. They didn't just go ahead
Uh,
go ahead and
I
label him that way.
no, but
He's
he had mental
probably
health issues. They had
right.
mentioned
He
it
had the
earlier. They
mental health
established it
issues.
earlier in the film. Yeah,
But it was just funny that these three grown men couldn't fight off these zombies because they were slow, which
they're
is
petrified too.
yes,
Oh, you
and they
mean
were
the
oh
zombies
my
were slow?
god,
Yeah.
yeah, like the shamblers were
These are
slow.
beyond shamblers. They would just walk up to you and just stare at you.
Yeah, and it's like it was again I knew that it's a Fulci, and
Yeah.
the other part is that this came out in 1980, so by now Night of the Living Dead had been released, so none of these people saw or heard of Night of the Living Dead and thought about shooting the zombies
Oh,
in
you
the head.
no. See, I don't go by that because to me,
I mean,
see, when
I'm
I
gonna
watch zombie movies, I want to believe that there no such thing as a zombie film. I
I
want this
see.
to be a new phenomenon
I
in
live in a world.
their
I for me, I live in a world that
well, if you're gonna
when
live
it
in that world,
happens,
you're
when
gonna be
it happens.
disappointed in every zombie movie.
No, okay, not all,
Because
but
I
I'm just
hate it
saying.
when movies, zombies come up, "Oh, it's a zombie, shoot it in the head." Unless it's a comedy like Shaun of the Dead, it's different, but
But I'm
I
also
know what you
listen.
mean, I know what you
I
mean. I
know,
respect that, I respect that.
but the thing is, I had to then remind myself that this is not your standard zombie movie. Like this was, it's actually more supernatural
It's
based.
supernatural, thank you,
Right.
good
I
shout,
know.
good shout.
I'll get there, man. I promise you. I just want to still throw out that I always go into myself if I'm stuck in a actual zombie thing happening,
Mhm.
I'm going to think about the movies that I saw. So I, in my head, always feel that if I'm watching a movie that took place during those times, somebody in that movie would have heard of the Night of the Living Dead. I mean, it's just, it could, listen,
That's a
it's just
personal
me.
thing, it's
It's a
you.
personal thing.
That's fine,
Like, in other words, like all these movies are built in the world that we live in. So at
Mhm,
some point in time, they would have seen that. But it was different because it wasn't, it was a hive mind, kind of like vampire and demon type. It wasn't like the only ones that you saw eating brains were the rats. So
and they
I,
were possessed too, you seen their eyes all red
yes.
and shit? Yeah, that was cool.
So I like for me, I done I once I honestly that's what I'm saying. Like I know you were ready. I promise you that I say that, and then I say to myself, remind myself sometimes when you're watching it, put yourself in this
Mhm,
perspective
yeah,
and know that in this movie, what the catalyst was a priest who hung himself. It wasn't a zombie, and it wasn't like a case of nuclear, chemicals opened up, or some test programming happened. It wasn't that. A priest hung himself and the gates of hell open. By the gates of hell open, that's supernatural, which could include demons, possessions, and all
mhm,
stuff like that. So that's why, like for me, it made me look and appreciate the movie differently, telling myself, take this out and look for it what it is that because the beyond was also supernatural. So maybe once we do, because I still haven't seen the third one in the series, but again,
completely different by
I haven't seen it, but it might have maybe the connection is supernatural.
yeah, I'm gonna watch The Beyond again, then before we watch House by the Cemetery,
Yeah,
just to
now I
get
have to
yeah, it's
because like I
right,
feel like
right?
I hate that. Well, no,
Me too, yeah.
we honestly would never listen. Rick and I, if we're gonna do something, we put our research into it. We would have actually planned to have done it in the release order that Fulci had done the
Yeah,
trilogy.
I
But
wasn't aware, yeah, I'll be
no,
honest,
we decided we were doing the series. We want to see all these Italian movies that people talk about that we haven't seen. So why am I going to sit there and just read a whole bunch of stuff? No, we just sit there and just pick the names of movies, and then once we do it, we actually hold on. Correction. We did know the order of the Suspiria ones, but that's different only because once we did talk about this, that's kind of was the seed, if you will. Suspiria was the seed that helped horror
mm,
Italiano
yeah.
flourish to what we're trying to do now, and that's to discover these movies. I fucking love this movie.
Joe, let me ask you something. When you saw the funeral parlor scenes and you saw how those corpses were just sitting there with their mouths all, what kind of funeral parlor does up the bodies for the loved ones to come see? Mind you,
Look,
I never seen a funeral parlor where they would line up multiple dead cadavers and people randomly come visit them. Like,
no.
that was weird. Anyway, but what's up with that shit? You saw like Emily's mouth was all open and the old lady
Yeah,
was like, ah, like what the fuck?
the what do you call him?
The
Mortician.
the
The
mortician,
mortician should be fired.
yeah,
No
well
one should hire this man for any of
well
their
he was robbing
families.
them too, so
Well, that's why he died.
yeah, he got bit. He got
He got
bit.
bit. Because the other part that I thought was a little bit different with this was when the father gets killed. Now, mind you, yes, again, I told you, we're not shooting on the brain. So it turns out you can even disembowel somebody and they will die, even though they were dead.
You mean the priest? You want to say father?
The priest, and so
Okay.
also Sandra
Sandra too. Yeah,
was
yeah.
also stabbed in the
Yeah,
stomach.
that's a good shout. I thought the
Dude,
same thing, Joe. I thought the
wait,
same thing.
wait. So when they're in the tunnel and Jerry goes, Sandra,
That guy's the worst.
that fucker
He took
couldn't
forever.
have told Peter, bro, there's a zombie behind you.
Yeah.
Turn around. No, dude, I kind of wasn't shocked when Peter
That
died.
goes into what you were saying, how they would just disappear and pop in. She
Yeah.
teleported.
Is that what it was?
Remember,
Because
she
I'm
appeared in
sitting there.
front of him, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh my god, it's Sandra!" All of a sudden she's behind Peter and fucking ripped his
All
brain
right.
out.
Because okay. So maybe you're right on the
The same way
teleporting
Sandra was
because
killed is the way she
I,
killed Peter. I was
I
shocked too. I was
dude,
shocked.
and I'm sitting there going,
I'm
because
glad you said that.
Jerry goes, Sandra. And then all of a sudden Sandra's behind
Oh
Peter.
man,
And Peter's like this. He's like, Peter, Sandra. And like,
Peter's like, ah, and they're just staring at him like, dude, try and
no
help
one
him.
helps. Oh my God.
Nobody
No
helps.
one helped in this movie.
Nobody helped.
This
How
is
many
why
times
I
did
guess
Jerry just standing like doing this?
oh my God.
He
It
took
was,
forever to act on everything.
but when he ends up killing Father Thomas and then all of the undead or whatever you want to call them, the supernaturally
No,
risen,
they're on, yeah,
all start burning up.
yeah.
I thought that was kind of different.
All right, brother. So, just a few things to kind of bring up here. We're gonna spitfire these, but I found it funny immediately when I caught the dubbing of this movie. I always think of you, bro. Certain characters you could tell it wasn't their voice, you know what I mean? And just the dialogue. Like when that one I think he's an officer or whatever, he found the blood with the maggots. He's like, what the dickens is this? Like, what the fuck talks like that? And there was another one. I got it in my notes actually. He was like, some other character was like, he's like, good God, it's blood.
Oh,
Like, who
yeah.
talks like this shit? This movie's pure Fulci. I loved all of that. And Dunwich, interesting because this movie not only did it combine like supernatural zombies, but also witchcraft. It was born
Uh-huh.
on like Salem
I
burial
was
grounds.
wondering if you were going to say
Yeah, I
this.
thought of you once again when it came to that. So that was interesting. Oh, by the way, Emily had a Corvette. I'm assuming Emily has some money because back
Oh,
in
yeah.
1980, if you had a Corvette, especially with those headlights that would go up and down like that. Yeah, you had some funds. The Book of Enoch. What do you know about the Book of Enoch?
I
It's a
don't know
Jewish
much,
book going
actually.
back to the 4th century BC. That I do know, but other than that, like I love how that speech when that weird those psychics were really creepy. That one lady with the weird eyes
Teresa.
and yes, Teresa, and then you could tell Fulci kept focusing on those eyes where they're really like her really light eyebrows and that weird like her jawline she looked crazy. But that's the thing with Fulci. He gets
She
actors that
she
just
looked like a
visually
gypsy.
they look interesting. Yeah, you're
She
right.
looked
Good
like a
shout.
gypsy, like she was probably a Romanali. Is that what they
That
call
one cop kept saying, "What do you want, coke, grass?"
them? I was like, this is totally 70s. The way you just said that.
But I did laugh though because it was when Peter and Mary visited a priest. The priest told them about Father Thomas, right? He brought up Father Thomas, right? Then later on, when they finally meet Jerry at the cemetery, and Jerry brings up Father Thomas, Mary's like, Father Thomas, we didn't know his name. Like, what the fuck? You had this conversation with the other priest prior to. That's obviously a botch. That's a fuck up, obviously, because the priest told him Father Thomas. Like, that's when he was saying, "Oh, what are you guys doing here anyway?" He brought up Father Thomas. So they talked about Father Thomas, but then when they brought him up later, I don't know. I had a maybe because maybe you would correct me on that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I always found that that's a fuck up. Speaking of fuck ups, and you mentioned the ending. I'm gonna leave that for you. We'll talk about that before we wrap. But there is something I want to discuss with that. But Dunwich is a fictional town, and
Yep.
it was created by your boy
Yeah.
H.P. Lovecraft.
Yep. The Dunwich Terror. That
Yeah,
Dunwich Horror.
Overall, though, I again, I love this movie. It's I was traumatized as a kid, and that's why I love it even more now. And looking now, it's cheesy at times, but it's just so good. And I'm convinced that some of the music was inspired by Dawn of the Dead. It's got that goblin feel to it, and then that great fucking music at the end. That it's almost like it's this heroic music, you know. Dun, 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 dun,
It's pretty all
dun.
right.
That's pure Italian cinema. I fucking love that shit, bro. So yeah, man. What you got, brother?
Well, for me, I will say because again, um, at first I started going, well, if this is kind of going to be a zombie movies, where are the zombies? Because there wasn't a lot in the beginning,
Oh, so
and then
you went in thinking it was gonna be a zombie
yes,
film because
yes,
of the title.
City of the Living Dead. And then you also once they because they were there,
Yeah.
but most of the killings took place off screen, and then I said to myself, is this a budget reason? Because they saved it all for the third act.
I think they saved it for the blow up doll.
That fucking
Right,
poor
you should know
Bob,
about this. When
dude.
the
And
guy
then
picked up the doll and threw it, and it just hit the ground and just inflated
it's
automatically.
self-inflated. Run.
What the
If your
fuck?
blow up doll self inflates, get the fuck
And
out.
typical
Don't try to touch it.
typical Fulci when he starts rubbing on the breast and stuff.
Oh my
You hear
god.
that
Yeah, yes.
when he looks up, he sees the worms and that weird dead baby, whatever the fuck that shit was. Classic Fulci, bro.
But I will say, I actually thought
Dímelo.
that the score was subdued compared to some of the other ones. It wasn't as rock and roll. Yes, right towards the end after, because I ended up watching this. I think you may have rented it. I ended up watching this on Pluto TV. So if you have not seen the movie, you can rent it like he did, or you can watch it like I did on Pluto TV. It took an hour and 36-minute movie and turned it into 2 hours. The only plus side was in between the commercials, I was able to do some notes. But
Eh,
I actually thought that the music, which is ended up as I was waiting and we got towards the end, finding out that Fulci, right before he started doing this movie, had read the Dunwich Horror. And he wanted to give an ode to H.P. Lovecraft, and he created an atmospheric like vision, giving him his ode. But then, like towards the end, after I said I put in my notes, the music was atmospheric, it was great. And then towards the end, I'm like, Fulci, no, stop it. You were doing good with the music. Don't throw in rock and roll right now at the end.
that
Don't
wasn't
do it.
rock. I wouldn't
No,
say
no,
it's
no,
rock.
no. It wasn't. But it started speeding up, is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, I got you.
Like you said, like I picked up that the tempo
The
on the
Beyond
music.
took that and carried it too because it was also almost an identical ending in a sense with two characters just gazing out into the distance, right? Think about
Well,
that.
and another part is that originally when the script was done, this was supposed to take place in Salem. But after um Fulci had read the Dunwich Horror, he changed the name of the town to Dunwich. Though you
Nice.
do hear that, but there's a part in the movie where one of the characters says, "Remember, because now they are in Salem.
Yeah.
Say, remember what our ancestors did."
They kept
So this
bringing that
is
up.
the ancestors are all being punished for what they. So basically, the ones who burned the witches, which is what now it not only adds supernatural to this movie, but now you got witchcraft in there
Mhm.
because obviously the townsfolk knew of all that. I thought it. I listen. This movie going 80s. This movie was rad. I fucking loved it.
It's great,
I
isn't it, right?
I did. I did.
It's
Listen,
really
we
good,
talked
man.
about the part that fucked you up. I when I knew that a priest hung himself, and then we have a woman throw up
Oh,
her entire
that
insides.
Notorious.
That's when I knew we were in for a gem of a movie. I thoroughly love this movie.
Yeah.
Before we say goodbye to everybody, any
Mhm.
last minute things you want to say?
No, that's it. I said what I had to say other than the cheap, headstones, which, when I saw it. But it's crazy because I did criticize that, but then when I did a little bit of my own research, I found out that was a real cemetery. Wait a minute, okay. So it's an old cemetery from, like, the old, like, 1800s, which is still kind of there during the war. I think it was even during, like, I forgot what word it was, bro. I'm a little buzzed right now. I don't want to do no research. But what I'm trying to say is, yes, that was in fact a real cemetery, which the people who own that said that the directors and the filmmakers snuck in at any point in this guerrilla style of filmmaking. They got in and out because the church would never allow a zombie movie to be made on, burial. But
Sacred
it's
ground.
bullshit because if you think about it, they imagine they don't just go in there with a fucking camcorder and just record and be out or whatever. You know how much production goes into this shit? A- And the fog machines alone, you're trying to tell me that no one's gonna see that? No, so it's conflicting reports. But I love this movie, man. I love everything about it. It doesn't make sense in a lot of places, but again, I'm willing to give it some leeway because it is Lucio Fulci. That's just his style, and this type of filmmaking, I mean, you don't really see it anymore. It's
No.
he owns it. He owns up to it, and
Yep.
he's a notorious filmmaker. A lot of these actors, I know Christopher George, for example, never didn't get along. He sent this guy a fucking he sent him a package or something full of like maggots that was left over from when he had all those fucking maggots fucking shot in their fucking face with these giant industrial fans and shit. But that's that's the mystique of Fulci. I love the director. I love his films. It's you could see a Fulci movie a mile away and know who fucking
Oh
made that
yeah.
movie.
Well, it's funny because he got this because of the success of Zombie, he did this one.
Zombie was 79, right? 78,
Yes.
79. Yeah,
And
yeah,
then he
yeah.
got this one. It didn't do as great.
Another thing that I want to touch upon before we wrap this episode up. You had brought it up earlier about the ending, right? Apparently, there's a lot of controversy going on with this ending. A lot of fables going around. And either it depends who you believe, like Fulci didn't want such a happy ending, so he wanted to like leave it kind of fucked up, or there was somebody spilled coffee on the original negative print, so they had to redo it, and that's why it's kind of weird the way it abruptly ends. There's a lot of he said, she said, a lot of whatever's. Obviously, something happened because the film, the way it ends, like, what was Mary seeing that was so weird, right? We
I
just
think
saw
that
John running, but she's like, "Oh, but there's nothing behind." I looked, I paused it too. There was no
there isn't.
zombies,
There
nothing.
isn't. No.
And then they got this weird animation just creeps in and just something being infected, like something spreading. I'm like, what the fuck? So something happened somewhere in the production, whether it was the editing table or after, that made Fulci change his mind and fuck with the ending because something is abrupt there. And I don't know what's going on with that. I know you had brought it up, so I'm assuming you had an issue with how it ended.
Well, because you see that John is running towards her
Yeah.
and they're all happy. And he's like running
Yeah, I
and
don't see a
running, and
problem.
all
It's
of a sudden
weird.
she screams. So
Yes.
the only thing that I can think of is as John is running, is that a zombie comes out of nowhere running towards John, and that they actually did not stop Father Thomas's.
I guess they
Um,
ran out of budget, couldn't
yeah,
afford a
I don't know.
zombie to put on
Literally,
screen. Like,
that was
it's
that
weird.
was one of my notes on here that I didn't bring up, is the budget part, because I thought that the reason that the zombies got stronger towards the end was because that's the budget wise. That's where they saved it, was for that. But yeah, the ending, it's a weird, abrupt, and kind of shit. There's a good word to describe it because it's
It's to me, it's a alright, it
jarring.
was
It's jarring.
yeah, it was
It's a
jarring.
jarring. It's a jarring because there's no context to lead to how it
No.
ended. So yeah, this is why we do these movies.
If you're watching this and drop it in the
Let us
comments.
know.
Let
But
us
yes,
know. I wanna know.
this is why we do these, because it's not perfect cinema. It's not, this is the old schools. This is where some of the other people got inspiration. So with that, thank you for joining us on our tour. And remember to support Italian horror cinema.